Altruism, the difference between childhood and adulthood. That's our topic for today. Welcome to Sorry for the Inconvenience. I'm your host, Hafiz Idris. If you don't know who I am, you can check out the link in the bio. But this is not about the messenger, it's about the message. Altruism is the difference between childhood and adulthood. What is altruism? Now, when people think of altruism, they think of, helping others and being kind of a pushover. Okay? People can trample over you, they can use you, they can like mistaking kindness for weakness kind of thing. Okay? But that's far from being what it really is. Okay? Altruism, I mean, in simplistic terms, is to think of others when you act. To think of others when you act. Okay? Why is this important? Okay, as a kid, you grow up, or you're in the world, you're new to the world. All you can think of is what benefits you, how to take care of self. Okay, I'm hungry. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna shout. I'm gonna throw a temper tantrum. I'm gonna act wild because I need to eat. I don't care what else is going on. I don't care why we're not eating now, but I need to eat right now, right? That's what babies do, right? And understandably, right? They're little kids, and we accept that, okay? But as one grows older, you're expected to act differently. So if you're hungry, you don't go and throw a temper tantrum as an adult. That is going to be unbecoming of you as an adult, right? You're going to be expected to either be patient if you don't have food at the moment, or to go out and go buy food yourself, or to ask somebody to make food for you and be patient while they make it, or something along those lines, all right? But not just to act wild, right? Acting wild is not for an adult. It's not becoming of an adult, right? That is altruism. That is altruism in a nutshell. Okay? As you grow up, as you become more of an adult, you show that you care more of other people. The fact of the matter is that my desire and your desires, your wishes and my wishes cannot all be granted. Some people are going to have more, some people are going to have less. Some people are going to have more at this point, some people are going to have less at this point. And then it might switch, the tables might switch later on. All right? But we can't all have what we want all the time. It just doesn't work that way, because naturally our desires are in conflict with other people's at some point. Right? The world is finite, we are finite. The resources are finite, so it's going to be in conflict at some point. Okay? So we then have to be considerate of other people when we want things, when we need things. And not just me, right? That's a disease. That is not something to be praised as an adult. As a child, we excuse it. But as an adult, we don't. We can't. So, altruism is not about being a pushover. It's about being considerate, because being considerate now is thinking long term. Okay? Because I could be inconsiderate right now and say that I'm hungry and, throw a temper tantrum and, act wild and what have you, and give me the food now and da-da-da-da-da-da. Right? Later on, when I need something from someone, what is the likelihood that they're going to help me? And we're like, that guy's a nut. He's crazy. He's crazy. I'm not going to deal with him. I'm not going to deal with him because I don't like that. Nobody likes to be treated without respect. Nobody likes to be treated in a way that is unbecoming of how they see themselves as a human being. So you have to then act accordingly. Good example of this, a very good example of this, is when you have to, let's say you're taking a taxi. You're on the taxi, and he takes you to wherever your location is. Okay, now this location that you happen to come to, because it's the first time you're going there, you don't know how things work, so you're afraid that taxis might not come around as often as you need. So maybe when you're done with this meeting or whatever you have to do at this location, you might not be able to find a taxi. So you ask the guy to wait for you. Now, even though yes, he's gonna get a fee for waiting, you might not want to wait. His prerogative, right? You might not want to wait. Now, if you were a jerk when you went the car, right? You didn't greet him when you came in. You didn't say hey, hi, or something like that. All right, right? You were speaking down to him, right? You didn't respect him. You didn't do anything that was, I mean, anything that would show some kind of respect to this individual that's driving you around, even though it's getting paid, right? He's still driving you around, or she. And then when you need a favor, you want him to wait. What is he gonna do? He's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, of course I'm gonna wait for you. You're such a lovely individual. I'm definitely gonna wait. Right? Even if it's just 5 minutes, I definitely will wait." Of course not. He's not gonna wait for you. He's not gonna wait for you. It's like you better get the get out of here. Right? You can figure that out yourself because I'm not dealing with that nonsense. Right? That's an example of that. That's a very simple example, but it's something that I think a lot of us can relate to. And most of us have taken public transportation before, right? Same thing with a spouse, even, right? And a spouse, you have a spouse and you're a jerk to your spouse. I mean, obviously your spouse can leave you, right? Your wife or your husband. But right, if you're a jerk when you're dealing with your spouse, the likelihood of your spouse helping you when you need some help is very slim. Same thing with friends, same thing with anybody. Right? You have to deal accordingly with people. Deal appropriately with people, right? And in a sense, actually, it's in your best self-interest, right? In itself, it's in a sense, it's being thinking of yourself, but long term, because eventually you're going to need people to help you. All of us, in the way that God has created this world, rely on other people. Whether we rely on them for basic things, or whether we rely on them for basic things or we rely on them for grand things. All right, we rely on each other. Nobody is an island, right? No man is an island. We rely on other people, whether it's a driver, whether it's a cook, or whether it's a boss, somebody that has actually created a business and now you need a job. Okay, you've relied on that person to create a business and to invest all his funds and the time and the money and the research and all that kinds of things to start a business, so that then you can come in and say, hey, give me a job, which I don't praise at all, but we can talk about that another day. All right, this entitlement, feeling like other people should take the risk and then you should then come in and reap the rewards. Yes, you're getting the salary, but please, we need to get out of this mentality, and that's a whole topic for a whole different day. But right, we depend on other people. People put in the funds, put in the time, put in the sweat and the tears to get things done that we can benefit from, because nobody can do everything by themselves. You can't build your house by yourself, even if you might look down upon the person that's doing the construction, the mason, right? The mason, right? You might look down upon him, but you can't build your house yourself. Maybe you could, all right? But the likelihood that you'll build it yourself and then be able to do whatever work you're doing is very slim, right? It takes time. You might not even have the skills, right? Okay, so we all depend on each other. So in a way, it's really looking out for your best interest at the end of the day, because you're going to need somebody at the end of the day to help you with something at some point. And if you're a jerk to everybody, everybody's going to be a jerk to you. So don't be a jerk, okay? Coming back to, let's talk about Dubai in particular. Right? Dubai is seen as a land of opportunity, and a lot of people come here looking for an opportunity to elevate themselves, to provide better income for themselves and their families. Right? They're a land of opportunity, kind of like the way the U.S. was like 100 years ago. Right? And there's still that myth is still there for the U.S., but. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that for now. All right, let's stay focused. Focus, man. All right. Dubai is seen as a land of opportunity. A lot of people come here trying to better themselves. If you come here and you're a jerk to people, the likelihood that you're going to be able to rise to something better is very slim. Here you have to do networking events. You have to meet people. You have to rely on people here that might understand Arabic and you don't, because it's your first time here. And Arabic might not be the majority language, or might not be necessary to live here in a sense, okay? But Arabic is going to help you get some things done faster, right? Arabic is going to help you get some things done a lot smoother, right? As opposed to trying to get through it in English. Trust me. Trust me. I am not an Arab. I've come to learn Arabic, married to an Arab, so I understand. I understand how it goes in the Arab world. It's all the same in the Arab world. If you can speak Arabic, or you can get to somebody, have somebody speak Arabic on your behalf, is the likelihood of getting things done is a lot better. Right? So you're going to need to network with people, to meet people, to talk to people, have people help you out. Okay? Have people help you out. So you should then act accordingly. Act accordingly. You have to be altruistic, right? With the taxi driver, with the security guard. The security guard at the building that you think, yo, he's here, he's only making 2,000 a month while I'm making 20, 50 grand a month, right? He's a low level worker. I don't need to talk to him. You don't need to talk to him until you lose your access card. Until you lose your access card. Now you've been a jerk for the last 6 months. Now you want him to let you in. Why would he let you in? The rule states you need an access card to get into the building. You don't have yours. I can't help you. I'm sorry. He's not really sorry, right? Because you're a jerk. You've been a jerk, so he's not going to help you out. He's going to enforce the rules as they are in the manual, as opposed to putting any human emotional, intelligence into the situation. Because you're a jerk. Right? But if you've been cool with him, you've been saying at the minimum, respecting him with a hello, right? Respect him with a hello. Hey, how you doing, John? Even if you don't know his name, right? But his name is probably on the thing, right? Okay. Hey, how you doing? Good, right? Every day you see him, or even once a day you see him, you say, hey, how you doing? Right? That sign of respect. That's showing that I recognize you're a human being working here. Right? Goes a long way. When you lose that access card, or when you need you need the groceries delivered, but you're not at home and you need to have them have access or something like that. Then you call John. John is going to help you out because John is seeing that you're a respectable person. John is seeing that you're not a jerk. But if you're a jerk, John is going to stick to the book and say, I'm sorry. Let your groceries rot outside. All right? That's not my job. And technically he's right because that's what's in the manual. Right? So that you have to, it's only intelligent to be altruistic. It's only intelligent to be altruistic. Kids are not intelligent enough to understand that. That's why they act in the way they do. Adults are, and that's why your actions as an adult then have consequences that you have to deal with. Right? As a kid, you're training them, right? So they don't. You don't necessarily necessarily have to deal with any consequences. Right? But as adults, you do, because now you understand what life is about. Speaking of Dubai again, is a situation that I see with some people, right? And many people act in different ways, right? And now I will talk about different scenarios, but let me just give you a general overview of what I'm talking about here. Okay, Dubai. A lot of people say Dubai brings out the worst in people. Look at how people act over here. Look at how people do this, do that. Right? People are scamming. People are stealing. Look at that guy. Oh, he's on the news, right? He scammed 150 million, money laundering, blah 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 blah. Right? First of all, we all know that people do this in other parts of the world anyway. Okay, so it's not singular to Dubai. It's not only Dubai that somebody might do something like that, right? But they do. I mean. Anyway, right? People do that, right? People do that everywhere in the world, okay? That's one. Two, to think that Dubai is this kind of energy, or this kind of evil, like devil that's like poking people, trying to urge them to do certain acts is nonsensical. It's stupid. It's stupid. If you're a good person, you act as a good person wherever you are, because that's what you are, a good person. If you're a bad person, you act like a bad person whenever you get the opportunity to act like a bad person. whether in Dubai, whether in Russia, whether in the U.S., whether in South Korea, wherever it may be. If you're a bad person, you act bad whenever you have the opportunity to do it. If you're a good person, you act like a good person whenever you have the opportunity to do it. It's not just in Dubai. So Dubai does not bring out the worst in people. You might find the opportunity here to act bad, and then you act bad, but that's not on Dubai, that's on you. Right? You've been hiding that, and now you act a fool now because you have the opportunity to act a fool. That's on you. That's on you. Take yourself to task. Don't blame Dubai for that. That's your issue. That's your issue. Right? Now that you've been exposed, now you can act like an adult and try to fix that issue, or you can just, you can bask in it. You can bask in it and then just throw the excuse on Dubai and say that it's Dubai's fault. It's Dubai's fault. I'm not that type of person, but I was stuck, man. I was stuck. I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist those ladies. I couldn't resist taking that money. I couldn't. That's the type of person you are. It just showed. You just came out. You just came out the closet in Dubai. You just came out the closet in Dubai. And that's all that is. All right, so that's on you. That's on you. That's on you. All right, and if you're a good person, it shows all the time. Shows all the time. Yeah, it might be harder in certain situations or not, right? But as a good person, you can see that somebody's trying to be good, whoever they are. Whether it's harder or whether it's easier, right? You can see that people try to do good. Yeah, they might falter here and there, of course. Right? We're human beings. We're supposed to falter. Right? But then we're supposed to see that, oh, I faltered here, admit it, change the scenario, change my situation to become better. That's what the human experience is about. All right? So Dubai didn't make you evil. You made yourself evil. You were evil. You just got an opportunity to act a fool, and you did. It's like people that say money is the root of all evil. Money is not the root of all evil. You've been evil. You've been evil. Now you got money. Now you're acting like it. You've been evil. Now you're acting a fool. Now you're acting a devil because you got money to act the devil. When you were poor, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it because you didn't have the money to be able to spend on liquor, on prostitutes and this and that. Now you got the money. Now you're acting a fool. Now you're acting a fool. Now you're acting a fool as opposed to being a stand-up guy or gal. All right? So money's not the root of evil. You just had the opportunity. All right? You see a lot of these celebrities now. They get money. They get money, and now they're doing plastic surgery here. They're doing this here. They're buying this there. They're sponsoring this there. They're doing all this stuff there. All right? Cat Williams said it best in one of his specials. All right? It's like broke people. What do? They pass by a mirror and they see themselves. They're like, oh man, I got a chipped tooth. Oh, my nose is wide. I gotta go to work. I ain't got time to worry about issues. All right? I got bigger issues to deal with. I gotta go pay these bills. All right? I can't be worried about this chipped tooth and my nose ain't perfect and I got a bump over here and my line up. I got stuff to go do. Let me go make this money because I got bills to pay. They're not gonna wait for me to waste time trying to figure out, sulk in my or bask in my sadness or in my depression about how I'm not physically perfect, for example. Right? But rich people, not all rich people, obviously, right? But rich people, when they pass by the mirror and they look at themselves, they cheap tooth, man, I need to call Dr. Kavarkian. I need to call the Beverly Hills doctor, right? Make my nose like this, right? I need to, we need to get the hair transplant. I need to go to Turkey, And then they start doing those things, right? They start doing those things, right? Right? Oh, I'm feeling a little. I feel like I need to be with a lady. Where the sluts at? Where are the prostitutes at? Right? As opposed to taking the right paths to do these things, right? And some things are not, some things we're not even supposed to be worried about, right? Right? My nose is flat. That's fine. That is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. And not something for me to worry about, right? That's not something I picked. And just as you didn't pick that you have a pointed nose. That's not something for me to be basking or be, to be all depressed about. You didn't pick that. You just like you didn't pick your parents, right? Now your job now is to be smart and now figure out how you deal with that situation, and not, you know, and not, oh, I got money now. I'm gonna act a fool, right? I'm gonna go fix my nose and I'm gonna get obsessed with my nose and it's gonna be like this. And by the time you finish, you ain't got a nose in the first place. You got a nose in the first place because you're trying to make yourself perfect. Anyway, that's a tangent, right? But you have to you have to you have to deal with things as an adult while considering other people, right? While considering other people, right? So even, I mean, man, I could go deeper with this, and a lot of people are going to get pissed. Sorry for the inconvenience. So I'm going to inconvenience you, okay? If you harm yourself, right? You're a parent and you harm yourself, okay, because you're depressed with life, right? That is being selfish. That is not being altruistic. That is not being altruistic. You're being selfish. You're acting like a child because you, okay, unless you have a serious mental illness that we, that it's something that you can't control, right? Then we can make an exception, right? But if you're within your reasonable self, right, and I don't care how sad you are, right, you're within your reasonable self, right? You can still reason properly, right? And you have kids, and then you start to harm yourself, right? And you end your life, right? You didn't think about your kids, the kids that you chose to have, the white spouse that you chose to have. You chose to have these things, and now you've cut them off. Now you've put them in a state of depression because you decided to end your life. You thought about your depression. You didn't think about their depression. You didn't think about their situation. Now having to grow up without a dad. Now having to grow up as a widow, as having to live life as a widow. Now having to figure out how to fend for these kids by herself. Now having to figure out how am I gonna know what a man is? I don't have a father at home. Possibly being clowned at school, because your father ended his life, right? Whatever. You didn't think about that. You thought about yourself. That's not being altruistic. That's not being altruistic. That's not being an adult. If you have a sickness that puts you beyond reason, that's a whole different thing. We're not talking about those people. We're talking about people that choose to do these things and they're well within their reason. That's not being altruistic, and that's not how we behave. That's not how you behave as an adult. That's childish behavior. It's childish behavior. We try to harm yourself. You didn't think about other people that depend on you, especially as a man. Right? You're providing for a house, and now you're going to cut off that provision, and now you're going to have them in poverty, or have to put their situation in jeopardy. Right now, they don't know how they're going to eat, how they're going to pay rent, how they're going to pay for school, how they're going to pay for supplies, how they're going to, how they're going to deal with all the bills that come with life. People that you chose to have in this. Come on, man. Oh, we need to act accordingly, right? So you need to be altruistic, right? Now let's bring it back to real estate. Let's bring it back to real estate because that's what we do. Let's talk about real estate real quick. If you're not altruistic when it comes to real estate, you're going to have a hard time making money, right? And you're in real estate to make money. Let's be frank. You've seen all the G wagons, right? The G63. You've seen them, right? Probably every 10, 15 cars is a G63 on Sheikh Zayed Road, right? We know that, right? We know you're in it for money. You want to make money, you have to be altruistic. You have to be altruistic, right? You can't go to a client, advise him on whatever just to make the biggest commission. That client is not only going to bash you in front of other people, right? But it's never going to come back to you. How do you expect to make money that way? How do you expect to make money that way if you keep burning bridges, right? How many bridges do you think you're gonna have? You can only make a finite number of bridges, right? And then after a while, the engineers that are going to help you make those bridges are going to be like, nah, man, just forget about it, right? Forget about it. We can't do that anymore, right? We've burned so many of them. That's one right there, two right there, three right there, four right there. How many bridges you want to make, right? This is a waste of time, even if you're going to pay us. Even if you're going to pay us, right? You can't keep burning bridges. You have to build bridges. You have to maintain bridges. It's only yourself. It's only in your self-interest anyway to be able to do that, and your best interest to do that anyway. You have to be altruistic. You have to give people solid advice. Give people solid advice. Give them what they need, and not necessarily what they want. Because a lot of people that come into real estate and looking for property might not even know what they need. Right? They might have an idea of what they want, but they might not know what they need. And what they need might have a lower commission than what they want. Now, it's for you to be a stand-up guy and be like, nah, this is actually what you need, okay? Yeah, it's half the price of the other one that you want, and I could easily sell you that one and get double the commission, but this is what you actually need. That's for you to do that, because that person's going to be like, you know what, that guy really understood me, man. I thank God I went to that guy, because he really, he really did his job. He was really an advisor, not just some broker. Right? He really advised me, understood what I needed, understood my kids, understood my situation, my financial situation, my economic situation, whatever it may be, my marital situation. So that's actually what we needed. Thank God. Now he's going to be singing your praises to other people. He'll be singing your praises to his friends. Hey, you guys need a house. You need to better talk to this guy, man, because crazy how he understood everything that I needed. I only said one or two things here and there, right? But he understood everything and gave me the perfect home. I didn't even know I needed this extra room here, but he was like, you should get this one. And now I'm very grateful that I got this, because I didn't even know that. Right? He's gonna sing your praises. He's gonna put a Google review, if people read Google reviews, right? He's gonna put the review. He's gonna go the extra mile to help you sell your own business. He's gonna be a spokesperson for you, right? Because you're the product, and you got a great product for him, right? So then the advertising, right? Word of mouth is done by that client that you served right. Right? And you weren't a jerk too. You didn't just sell them any property and we're like, hey, that's what you asked for, right? So you need to be altruistic in order to be able to make it. You want to make it in Dubai, that's what you got to do. You got to be altruistic. The more people like you, and that's everywhere else, but let's be frank. Here, most of us are going to end up going back home at some point, right? We're not permanent citizens of this country, right? But here, right, if you're going to be here and trying to make the most of what you're going of your time here, you need to be liked by other people. People need to like you. People need to like you, all right? And people can tell when you're genuinely doing something just to get something back, or you're genuinely doing something because you're a good guy or gal, right? People can tell. They're not stupid. So you need to then act in a sense, that in a way that's altruistic, so people see that, people feel that, and they'll be willing to help you out as well. They'll be willing to reciprocate that altruism. They'll be willing to do that. Right? You know what? I know this agent. You know, he helped me out. That other time, he could have been a middleman in between us, right? And he could have been that. He could have been like, hey, look, I'm going to recommend you this, and we're going to split the fees and half, blah blah. But he was like, he just passed it on to me. He was like, take care of that. So now that I got property in this place, of course I'm going to reciprocate that. Here, man, hey, take care of that. You're working at the Shiba Gardens. If you need any property, I got some. Okay, hit me up. But if you need, you need some in that Shiba Gardens, talk to that guy, man. Talk to him. He's got the stuff there, right? He might not even have it, right? But he likes you because you acted accordingly. You acted like a stand-up individual. So he's gonna recommend you anytime he needs something in that area, or somebody he knows needs something. Right? Again, word of mouth, right? You not only need clients to like you also need agents to like you as well. Otherwise, agents will not work with you, right? And sometimes you need to work with agents. Right? So it's not just sellers and buyers. You also need agents to be on your side, right? Moral of the story: altruism is the dividing line between childhood and adulthood. And if you're an adult, you need to act accordingly. You need to be altruistic. not a pushover, not somebody that acts that is allowed to be taken advantage of, not somebody that is stupid and doesn't read the room, that doesn't understand things, that doesn't look out for his own interests as well, but somebody that understands that his self-interest is not always the priority, and understands that his immediate self-interest, let me put it that way, his immediate self-interest is not always the priority. Long term, sometimes you got to wait. Sometimes you have to wait to get a benefit back. Right? Sometimes you have to wait to get something back. Maybe in the next life, maybe it's not in this life you get it back, right? But sometimes you have to wait. And understanding that short-term thinking is what's going to destroy you in any business that you do, in real estate as well. Anything you do in life, always looking for the short-term gain is what's going to destroy you. And that's why we have all these, 50,000 brokers in this country, right? A lot of them are lousy because they're only looking for the short term. How can I make $100,000 real quick? Doesn't matter how many people I screw over, right? So think long term. Long term is going to benefit you a lot better. Peace.